I heard yesterday. Yeah, it goes the headlines, man. They all just go to plan. Their brains are fixed and blinking. You know they're all just spam. So buckle down, put right in. Cause it's way under your skin. Just got out from the things they spout. And it will make you shout. Give me that good news.
And the good news is...
Tired of the same old shit. That's
The good news is, yeah, we're tired of the same old shit, but happily, we got the good shit here today, right?
We always got the good shit here.
The
That's why we're
Grounds
here.
with Giles and Jones, brought to you today by Fantasy Factory of McHenry, Illinois. Fantasy Factory, McHenry, IL.com, 815-385 7399. Fantasy Factory is a romantic boutique located in McHenry, Illinois. Family owned and operated, they are dedicated to catering to all of your intimate needs. They like to think of what they do as relationship enhancement for all walks of life. Whatever your pleasure, the Fantasy Factory family can assist you in bringing your fantasies to reality. Located at 818 Front Street, McHenry, Illinois, 60050. Find out more. Where do they find out more, Scott?
At Fantasy Factory McHenry IL.com, or just give us a call, 815-385-7399, or better yet, just come on and see us.
Stop on by.
Really knowledgeable people that work for us. We call them our retail rock stars.
That's right.
They super knowledgeable and non-judgmental, most important.
Yeah.
Being knowledgeable and not judging. People are always a little bit apprehensive about maybe going into a store because they think of it as a
sinner.
A sinner, yeah, sinner. There you go, a sinner. Well, that's half the fun in life, right?
That's right.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, no.
So it's Friday.
Of course, don't forget, folks, this is the most original show on 216 The Net. This show is about you. Join in. We're going to share a link right out there on the intranet and join in. So check out our Facebook or YouTube. No matter where you are, you can be a part of this because we've got some good stuff today. Paradigm shift or paradigm shift.
Paradigm shift. That's the wrong emphasis on the syllable.
Welcome back. Good time.
Yeah.
You were gone last week. We struggled a little bit with the show.
And I wanted to listen. I wanted to listen to the show, but I was in the mountains and I didn't have good reception. So I was kind of bummed. And of course, I didn't listen to it after.
It was probably the best show we ever had. Thanks for mentioning it, Scott. That's wonderful.
Right. I was thinking about everybody. You know what I mean? Like I said, when I decide to go on vacation, I check out.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about you guys and what was going on with the show and how things went.
It went well. Uncle Pete be back there in the producer's booth. We talked about words. It was good.
The wrong syllable.
Yeah. And for those of you watching at home, just check this beauty out. This is this is a gorgeous trophy that was won at the car show. It was a beautiful trophy. There we go. There we got it.
There's been a lack of cars at that show for getting a trophy.
No, we won this trophy. The 216 The Net won this trophy. We had the most original and
unrestored
lawn chair at the show. So we got second to none. We got it. It was exciting.
See, so you had a really good.
Look at that. We'll just show a pic of it up here. Look at this beauty. Look at that chair. Gorgeous, right? Aluminum.
Look at the guy hanging out there. Really good, man.
Aluminum and the original webbing. Look at
that just shows people will vote for anything or go for anything in this world.
It is gorgeous. What do you mean? That is gorgeous.
That's a gorgeous chair, but I mean,
it's untouched.
Come on, second place to none for a lawn chair?
I didn't.
What's the world coming to?
I didn't polish it. I didn't,
You didn't wax it. You didn't
wax it, right? No, it was just it. No, it's fun. It was a good show. Mary Shep, of course, put that on, which is great. But glad you're back. Glad you had a good week. Couple weeks. We'll be here next week, we might have Ryan on. I think Ryan would be a great guy to have on, Pete, next week.
Who's Ryan?
He's the Ryan, the Army guy we were talking to at the. His last name escapes me. He was at the Pentagon.
Oh, my goodness. When I say who's Ryan,
right.
Sorry, Ryan. Yeah, right. I know who's Ryan.
Yeah. So he was actually at the Pentagon on 9/11.
Holy.
So since you and I are going to be gone that weekend, I thought maybe we'd have him come in.
Yeah.
Because we're at the 20 year of the attacks on 9/11.
Oh, and we're out of town.
But for that one, but we'll have him come in next week.
Okay.
and be part of the show, because I think you would love chatting with him.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
Absolutely. I love having guests. I love having people that have, I just love people in general for the most part.
Yeah.
People think I'm nuts, but
Yeah. Yeah. And Don, you're right. It was a plaid day. I went with the plaid chair. So anyway, paradigm shift. You and I have talked a little bit, and here's today's American world. I don't know if it's around the world. So Gary, if you're,
the U.S. world,
right? The North American world is what was once right is now wrong, and what was once wrong now is acceptable.
Right.
Okay, and here's what and let's talk about this just for a second.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Is if I live someplace, I either need to pay rent, I need to pay real estate taxes,
mortgage,
a mortgage.
Whatever.
If I've had my house paid off, I still have to pay something to live there.
Right.
Real estate taxes, whatever the case may be. I can't live there for.
You can't live there for free. Right. But now these days they're saying you can live places for free.
Yes.
I mean, at least it's if you're a non-owner or renter.
Right. So in the pandemic, there was an eviction moratorium placed out there. The CDC said, hey, we're going to have an eviction moratorium. So if you are a landlord and your tenant doesn't pay, you can't evict them. If you are a bank and the mortgagee, the person with the mortgage, doesn't pay, you can't foreclose. So here's what we're going to tell people is you can have this place to live absolutely free, whether you can afford to pay or not.
Right. And most of them still can.
Most of them still can.
At least the ones that I know.
Right. I mean, for the most part, if during the pandemic in 2020, if your place of business was shut down and you couldn't work remotely, perhaps 2 to 3 months max.
Right. Its original intent was very well thought of.
Yeah.
The problem with the original intent, if you will, is they thought of the renters themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Which, if you're in trouble and you're struggling, I get it. I'm all for helping people and working with people. I've been there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I struggled. People never believe that. They always look at me, oh, you've never had a problem. I've struggled. Everyone struggles.
Yeah.
But it's when you take advantage of something that was put in place for someone that's struggling.
Yeah.
It was put in place to help people that were struggling, not for people to be like, I don't want to pay because I don't have to, and you can't kick me out.
Yeah.
But me as a landlord, the bank is still calling me going, hey, if I was late, I haven't been, thank goodness.
So
but,
at one
where's
time,
my money?
At one time, it was right to pay your rent, and it was also right for a landlord to evict you or a bank to evict you.
You had a common agreement
if you did not pay.
Right, you had a common agreement.
Yeah,
to do an exchange.
Here's the simple
funds.
fact of the matter: if you can no longer pay for a place, then you got to go.
Yeah.
Right.
And
they're done that.
And again, the paradigm shift now is what was wrong, not paying,
Is okay.
You're
okay.
is acceptable, right? So we as a society have now gone.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we'll let it go because you know what? These poor people got the shaft or the short end of the stick, which some have.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Let me make people understand that I am all for what they did for the people that actually, actually need it. There are so many people out there that are so taking advantage of this thing that, one, the CDC should never have been able to put this into place. It should have been the actual federal government. The CDC has really no control.
So let's back up. So the Supreme Court put an end to the moratorium.
Thank God.
That protected renters from being evicted during the pandemic. In a 6-3 decision last night, the court said that the CDC, which imposed the moratorium, didn't actually have the legal authority to do that.
Right.
In practice, that means hundreds of thousands of people in the U.S. could potentially be evicted from their homes now that the protections have been tossed. So let's stop there. The CDC, the Center of Disease
Right. They
Control, whatever the other C stands for.
They're stepping so far outside their bounds of telling us what to do, not what we can and can't do. Like, all right, wear your mask that everyone talks about.
And everybody was like, yeah.
Right.
Okay, the CDC said so.
Yeah.
Hey, if the CDC says, hey, you don't have to pay for gas.
Where are you going to go
because
with,
of the pandemic?
Right.
Are you just going to roll up to a gas station and start pumping and walk away?
Well,
they'll turn their pumps off.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's.
I mean, and why wouldn't they?
Well, they can't because the CDC said so.
Right. Well, and that's
who is this? What?
Right. So who gives them the authority? I am so tickled pink that they actually finally, the federal government stepped up and said, "Wait a minute, you guys are over," which they should have done a while ago. But at least they're finally stepping up. It's one of those things that it boggles my mind because they were starting something that started out for a good reason, a good purpose to actually help people, is really turning into a nightmare. So it's going to hurt our economy.
So, Gary, again, good morning, brother. A good evening.
Yeah, good
Hopefully
morning.
you had a good
Singapore,
Friday.
Yeah.
In the U.S., can I say go out to the boondocks, build a house, and then live there, burning firewood, drawing water from nature without tapping on any utility infrastructure? Any law that says I can't. No, you can. You still have to pay taxes.
You have to pay taxes on the
property.
land. You got to own the property.
Right.
It's got to be in a deed in your name, and then you got to pay taxes.
Yep.
For the privilege of owning
That's
that
exactly
property.
what it is. The privilege to own that property and to pay for
it's not a right, it's a privilege. Because if you don't pay the taxes.
You can live quote unquote off grid, and I'd love to.
Yeah.
My life would be wonderful living off grid. I think I would enjoy it. I don't know if my wife would, but I would enjoy it.
In a lot of respects, everybody should, because then you actually realize what life is about.
In a way, I would enjoy that as well. I was about to before I met Mary Catherine. I was about to do just that.
Yeah. Go live out in the sticks.
Yeah, I was going on to Pikes Peak, a little cabin, a little spot out there, and found it. Was going to give myself a dog.
God, and what's his name sitting out there in the woods? What was his name? The shooter,
Grizzly Adams. The Unabomber.
Unabomber. It would have been
Peanutbutter. No, I'd have been bombing nobody.
Yeah.
But
except for that outhouse.
Yeah, I'd been bombing the whole living crap out of the outhouse.
Yeah,
no pun intended. But
exactly, Don. Yeah, they think they're the CDC is the center for control. It should be the CFC for control, not the center for disease control. Now, so there's a long backstory, right? But the bottom line is we had scientists and the CDC start making laws and passing things, and here's the issue that I have. We all went, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, let's do that.
Well,
let's do that.
Right. So it's the thing that I have for it is it's you look at you're doing something. It's for the greater good, right? Like if you're making a decision, is it better for everybody? Originally, their intent, I think, was meant for making it better for everybody, so people aren't going to become homeless, because this pandemic has really messed up a lot of people's lives. But it's gone, once again, like everything else in America, something that was originally intended to be good now has gone complete opposite direction, and is causing more headaches and more problems.
See, and Shayna
than what it was originally to take care of.
Shayna asks a key question here, Scott, which I think you can answer better than anybody. Shayna says, weren't landlords given some relief measures as well? The moratorium was implemented for public safety and the greater good. Sigh, she says.
So relief measures put in place for us as landlords, they say, but they did, but there's nothing out there for me. So when it comes time for me to pay my mortgage on my properties, they want it. They're not saying, oh, don't worry about it. We'll put it on the back end of your mortgage. They're just saying you need to pay it. If you can pay it. If not, and
so
that's about it.
Shayna,
there's no real answer. They don't have any real defined protocol, if you will.
Absolutely a great question. And yes, the eviction moratorium was just part one of a two-pronged approach by the government to help out renters during the pandemic. Problem is, part two has flopped harder than Quibi, right? Congress authorized $46.5 billion in rental assistance. But this week, I've learned that only 11% of the total has been dispersed. What? Okay, so again, what was once wrong, I'm going to tell you something and then not follow through, has now become very acceptable. And of course, tune in to Bridging Civil Tension. We'll probably get into that a little bit more.
Right, that's a good segue into the next show.
But it isn't, hey, listen, here's a little lip service. Let me work it off a little bit, and I'll walk away, and you'll be happy, because because the media, because the government also said, yeah, this is what we're going to do.
This is what's best for everybody, and this is good.
By the way, we're going to do $46.5 billion. Don't we have a coin shortage? Where are we getting this money?
They're making well. That's where the
I mean,
they're making
I've
it.
never,
Yeah, right.
I've never not had anybody give me change when I use cash.
Yeah.
It's never been a problem. I don't know why they keep
Well, they
saying
can't count it back.
there's
They
a
give it
coin
to-
shortage. I got a whole freaking giant can full of coins at home,
So-
and maybe it's my fault. I don't know.
Yeah, so good. I mean, her neighbor got 10K. If he owns,
I'd like to talk with him to see
if
how
he
got
owns
through
rental
that.
units, then yeah, that's. I mean, he got. I don't know where he got it from or where. So
If you can find out the
Have him
website
join.
that he's going through there, Shane,
Yeah.
I would be greatly appreciative of that one because I keep kind of hitting a lot of closed doors.
and listen, Don, you mean the government could not do something effectively and efficiently? That's a shocker. So here's the interesting thing, right? And what does she say? My lower vibe self has noticed an uptick in meaningful tattoos.
Because tattoos are important.
That's right.
Spend the money you don't have to spend on
Yeah,
rent. Go get a tattoo.
She only has one house, and she ended up getting 10 grand. The neighbor. So again, the paradigm shift. The paradigm shift says, and I'm going to go back to what a president once said. If you hear a knock on the door, and it says, "Hi,
Hello.
I'm from the government. I'm here to help." Y'all better be worried.
Yeah.
Right.
And
That's not
actually, and
the
a
normal
president
MO.
did say that,
Yeah.
and I know which one it was.
Yeah, and if you you're right, and the two sitting co-presidents of the United States now have said, "We're here to help." You got to get worried about this, folks.
They're here to help. Or they're here to
help.
redirect your
You're
thought
here.
process.
They're here to help by saying, "Look over here.
Right.
Look, this thing is okay."
Well,
Or
they're
we're
giving
doing
a little
this thing
shiny,
right here.
the little shiny fun toy on the left
Right.
hand, while
Yeah.
the right hand is elected. What did they bring in? How many new judges?
30.
30.
30.
New, 30 new. What would you call them?
Well, they're
Extremists.
they are activists. They
Yeah.
are left leaning.
That if you're listening, people, and you don't realize it, they brought
To-
in 30 new judges that
to
nobody
the federal,
knows about.
and
the
to the
federal,
federal
court
courts.
level.
The federal
Yeah.
court level was in.
The most that any sitting president has done this quickly.
Yeah.
With nobody knowing about it.
without a word,
very
without
little
a
knowledge.
boo being said.
No, not a word.
Right. So
Because you're too worried about it.
No passing anything in front of houses, or no. Oh well, wait, no, yeah, nothing. Just you're here.
It's
Yeah.
a good, it's a good
so
magic trick.
what we do is we say, "Hey, look over here in Kabul.
Right, look
This is a
what's
mess.
going on in Afghanistan.
This is a horrible mess."
Yeah, you got quite the black
And then
swan
let's look
event
at-
going over there.
All right, but let's get a little closer to home. It's vaccinated against unvaccinated,
Mm-hmm.
right? Oh, I can't like you. I'm scared of you, whatever. And then right up the middle, where laws can be made, broken, followed, whatever.
Right.
Here it comes, stacking.
It's
I
a
guess.
it's a typical distraction technique.
Huge. And
You know,
and again, the paradigm shift is we've now accepted it.
Well, and that's the thing is
It's
because the
acceptable.
people, well, a lot of the people are happy. Well, I'm getting what I want. I don't care about anything else. They're
Yeah.
paying my rent. I don't have to pay rent, so I get
Yeah.
to sit around, collect extra money every week. And if they need it, once again, guys, if they need it and they deserve it, they honestly are in trouble. I'm all for it. It's
Yeah.
the problem that now it's becoming almost like I'm due this. I'm owed this. I'm owed this because the pandemic has messed me up. Pandemic's messed everybody up. It's to what level and to what way you let it affect you. I mean, it's not that a situation happens to people in life.
Yeah.
It's how you react to the
It's
situation.
really how you
It makes who you are. Anybody, our government, our world. It's not that that I have any better or worse problems than you guys, right? Or anybody else out there. It's how I'm reacting to them and what my resources are to basically make them better.
Yeah. And the point is, with this paradigm shift is, the interesting thing is, I think a lot of us are just beaten down, tired of trying. There's been a lot of effort, and now everything in the world is, divided. Where it was, hey, maybe maybe this can we talk to our congressman? No, you can't talk to your congress people about this eviction mandate because Congress had nothing to do with it.
No.
But they're the ones that'll end up funding it.
It's so scary what's happening in and I will say in our little world here in America. On we talk about our freedoms and we want the government to do things for us, and it's not working. It's
Right.
becoming ugly. And listen, back in 1970 something, when they took away the gold standard and now we have fiat money, now we just say
Print some more.
fire up the printer.
Yeah.
We got to give landlords
Well,
$46.5 billion. I want you to understand how many how many dollars that is.
Right.
That
And
is a lot of money.
it's a ton of money.
I
And
don't
here's
think-
the thing that a lot of them don't even realize. Where's that money going to come from?
Where is it coming from?
Right? We're printing it, okay, but it's got to be paid for. And I think we've talked about this before, but for every dollar that we print and give out, it costs us $10 to pay back. So who's going to pay for that down the way? Everyone, oh, it's fine now.
That's
Don't
right.
worry about it. But when you see it. Taxes are going up. Inflation is freaking starting to run rampant.
Peradagim.
You know?
Peradagim.
People people just look at what their quick answer, quick solution is. They're not looking at the total repercussions of everything
That's
down
it.
the way. This is going to be felt for many, many years to
Oh
come.
man. It's
my
bad.
kids are going to feel this amount of awesome money being.
Yeah, it is.
Printed.
It is truly. It's truly shocking how many people think the government is the solution to their problems.
When they think,
Right.
and a lot of people think
Now-
that the government's just for us. We're called the United States for a reason because we're united
Oh,
together to
we
make
are?
one big country happy, healthy,
What?
help each other out. The only thing we're united on right now is being separate. You know what I mean? To being opposite, fighting about everything. Well, you say
Yeah.
black, I say white. You say brown, I say blue.
Yeah.
I mean, no, people aren't agreeing on anything, and they're not actually listening and talking to people and
Yeah.
listening to their thoughts and being,
Yeah.
I don't really agree with that, but thank you. It made me look at something differently. But I don't agree with you. But here's why I think that. But now it's just like, oh, they're right because they said so.
Yeah.
And I'll take my money or I'll take whatever.
And Shayna, yeah, good question and statement there. Any thoughts on essentially arming a hostile country by leaving it behind, leaving all the equipment, arms, everything behind? Yeah, sounds like a strategy to bypass some red tape. Of course it is. It's kind of how those things happen. It's a real shit way to make a deal happen without making it look like you made a deal happen. Quite frankly. And then again, with all this stuff, as long as Shayna says, as long as we maintain control over our water and food, we've already got a problem and people are pointing to it. They're pointing at it. You're seeing all these trucks sitting in repair lots that can't go anywhere. And the fewer and fewer trucks that are on the road that can't get repaired because the pieces and parts aren't being made because they can't get the pieces and parts to make the parts that the trucks need, are sitting there. And as you watch this, and then also as you watch them say, oh, well, the truckers can't drive unless they're vaccinated. All right, let's see how many truckers sit down, just like how many nurses and other medical professionals have sat down, because, you're mandating something that is a basic. It doesn't matter how you stand on the vaccine. I really don't give a shit how you stand on the idea is the freedom of choice.
So they're trying to force our hand.
And
they're
they're
wrong.
You wear a seatbelt.
Yeah,
It's a law. You can get a ticket for not
you can
wearing
get a ticket.
seatbelt.
I could choose to
but
pay
it's
the
my
ticket.
but it's my right. So
I could choose to pay the ticket,
right.
but it's not
And
a law.
him not wearing a seat.
There is absolutely no law with regard to healthcare that can. Anyway,
Right, but if
My
they
point is-
pass it, it's the same thing. Hey, you got to wear a mask. If you don't, you get a ticket. You can choose.
well,
to pay that
actually,
ticket.
we can talk about that because
if you don't get vaccinated, we can choose to get your ticket.
our sitting pumpkin here in the state of Illinois has instituted a
Governor
new.
Spalding.
Yes, Governor Spalding or Governor Pumpkin, whichever way you prefer,
I like
has
pumpkin.
instituted a new indoor mask mandate to be effective as of Monday.
Right.
So, aside from, yesterday, today, Saturday, and Sunday, apparently the virus is taking a break.
I'm gonna wait
Won't
till
be
Monday.
back on the job until Monday
Right.
because that's how urgent that is. Anyway, this shit just drives me up a freaking wall. Whatever. Here, I'm behind on this. You guys,
we
So-
can go. Yeah.
And we're not going to get. I'm not going to allow this show to go down that hole.
Right, we
Yeah,
don't want to go
don't.
down that hole today.
Right,
at all.
don't.
That's
No,
just.
because that hole has been
It's
filled too many times,
it
and
is.
people just don't pay attention.
It's-
People
and
just
listen.
don't listen.
And listen, let me just say this: 2020 at this time, it was two colors that couldn't get along. All of a sudden, we see that two colors probably can get along pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And well, now what? Well, now we have to divide by saying, well, those who are and those who aren't.
Right.
And we got to make those who aren't look bad. It's just a way, folks, the narrative, the way that things are moving to keep separation and hatred going in this country.
Yeah.
In this country. I have never once in my life asked anybody, you vaccinated for polio? I don't give a shit. Don't ask me.
Right. I did.
I really don't care.
You did what you felt was necessary for you.
I have trust in the medical people that if I end up getting ill of some sort, whether it's cancer, whether it's jaundice, whether it's the malaria, that the medical profession here in America, which is probably the best in the world, or one of the best in the world, can help me heal, or else I'm going to die. That's part of life. Death is part of life. Big deal.
And that's
right?
your choice.
But I'm not going around asking people, hey, you get the you get the Viagra pill?
yeah, exactly. Did you get the pill? Yeah. Are you
just happy to see me?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's where
You know what I mean?
That's where it comes down. That's where
So
it comes down.
don't ask me. I won't ask you. I really don't care. Here's what I want to do.
Right.
I want to love you because you're my brother,
Right.
right?
Right.
Or I want to hate you because you're a douchebag. Either one.
Right.
Right.
Well, is that
That's
somebody? I forget who I was talking to, but somebody said that they came up and somebody asked them, said, "Are you vaccinated?" And the girl turned around, looked at him like, "You do anal?" And the lady's like, "What?" It's like, you have no right to ask me if I'm vaccinated.
Yeah.
You have no right to ask me if I do. You know what I mean? It's like
we are asking
there's
each
certain
other
things
questions.
you just don't ask people,
You know.
and you just keep doing. You just keep
That's it.
moving ahead.
You know what? Love
do
people.
what's right.
That's
You
it.
love people.
Right.
Give them the option to be good people. Help them to
Yeah.
be good
I
people
know.
if they need help.
Right.
You know,
So here's
help them pay their rent. Because
Here's-
we
here's-
appreciate that.
here's the funny thing, and here's what I see Americans doing. They go this way. Oh, this way. Oh, but let's come back this way because now
What's convenient
somebody's
for the
over here
day.
going over here,
They're followers.
and we're taking the bait, we're chasing the bait, and instead of being free thinking individuals, you know what? Shayna, I've never met her in my life. I absolutely love her, and if I bump into her on the street, I'd give her
You
a
never
hug
met Shayna?
because I'm a huggy type of
You
guy.
never met Shayna?
No.
Shayna, you need to come
No,
in. You
Shayna's
need to
freaking
come in.
awesome.
So here's the deal. But at no point would I ever ask her anything about her medical history. None.
No.
Again, the paradigm shift.
Yeah.
What was once right is now wrong,
Yeah.
and what was now wrong is now acceptable. You shouldn't give two shits about me unless maybe I have I don't know, leprosy and my skin's falling off in front of you. You might be like, hey,
Right. You can stay by yourself, right?
Because you're not going to walk up to people and go, "Hey, before I shake your hand, do you have Hep A or Hep B?"
Right. Any STDs,
Right.
anything, right.
You know,
So
'cause
again,
that's
and now
It's almost an invasion of personal privacy, really. It's
Right.
it's my life.
it's a complete invasion
so
of
as
personal
we
privacy.
talk about mandates and things that are happening, what was once wrong is now acceptable
Right.
for a reason that perhaps we don't even understand or want to understand, but we now accept it. Okay, here's what's going to happen. My daughter, who's 12 years old, when she's 18, whatever. Hey, going out, gotta put my mask on, right? It's just what was once weird or wrong. I mean, in 2018, if I saw you out with a surgical mask, I'm like, well, that person's either
I want
dying.
some of the drugs he's on.
that person's
Right.
either dying or needs to see a therapist. Right? So
Right, because it's going to become the norm, and that's
boy in the
because
bubble, right?
Most people,
Yeah.
most people, I feel, most people don't want to question authority,
Mhm.
don't want to be the outliers, if you will.
Yeah.
Most people just want to follow what everyone else tells them to
Yeah.
do. They don't want to be free thinkers. Us being in the United States, that's our right to think and to feel and then to act how you want to. If you're doing something that's, quote unquote illegal or wrong, you're gonna get reprimanded for it. But these days, people just I swear to God, I think people just want them to tell them how to live. Just do this. Well, they don't have to think for themselves. We don't have a lot of free thinkers in this world anymore.
Not so much.
They're staring at their phones nonstop and saying, "Oh, that's what they said." Well, it's true. Well, no, it's not. Have you really looked into it? I mean, be a free thinker. Think about it. Question once again, my motto is question everything. They're not questioning. Oh, they say it. They say this is the way it is. Well, then we're just going to go with that because I don't have to worry about thinking about it. And, I can go on with the rest of my day and do whatever I want because it just makes it easier for me. People just want the easy path. And it's easy just to believe everything else everyone
When they meet
says.
you guys, there will be there will need to be
Shayna?
beverages involved. Amen. So Don asks a question. He says, Deke, he says, how do you respond to you need to accept these things for public safety? And then here's how I respond to that, Don. And I would go, can I ask you a quick question before I answer that? Are you truly wanting to have a discussion about this, or are you looking for an argument? Because if you'd like to have a discussion about it, I certainly will, but I don't want to argue about it. That's exactly
that's what everything's becoming.
That's exactly
these days,
how I'll
argument.
respond to that.
Right.
And if you say, no, let's have a discussion, say, okay, let's sit down and have a discussion then. I'm not going to text this. I'm not going to do anything.
Right.
But help me understand where you're at on why these mandates are for quote unquote public safety. And then let's have a discussion about that. Well, because if you're not vaccinated, you can spread the disease. Well, first of all, it's not a disease, so let's start there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's a virus.
It's a virus.
Okay. And
Which
even,
you can't
and even if I am,
you can't vaccinate against.
and even if I am vaccinated, then guess what? I can still spread it. It's a weird virus.
You can still spread it. You can still.
There are people who get it. So here's what we need to do: is we need to continue to lean into medicine and science and help them try to figure this out. This virus is like any other virus. It'll mutate. It'll spread. And that's the way it goes. Careful there, Pete.
Yeah.
I think we started going down that wormhole we didn't
So
want to
yeah.
go down.
So what I'll say is let's have a conversation about it. I don't want to argue about it. And if all you want to do is get mad at my opinion or the way that I see things and not listen, then I don't want to have that.
Don't listen to us.
I don't want to have that. Right. So the whole idea for me is, hey, it's my choice. It's just like it's your choice if you want to vape. It's your choice if you want to smoke cigarettes. It's your choice if you want to chew nicotine gum. It's your choice if you want to drink. It's your choice if you want to do cocaine. Whatever the case
Whatever
may
you
be,
do every day, it's
right?
you have a lot of choices.
There's a lot of choices out there. So guess what? It is what it is, and that's how I would answer that, right? Because I want to talk with you about it. I want to have conversation. That's what this whole show is about.
Right.
I want to have that conversation.
Well, and I want to know what people think, and I want to know why they think that, because you know what? You may sway me, but the way things are right now, I feel, this is me, I feel that what the information I've gotten and the way I've sorted through the knowledge, what I do and what I believe makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Right. And because if you look at everything, and when we'll get out of this wormhole or rabbit hole, but if you look at everything they're doing and why they're doing it, it makes no sense. If you follow it like in a logistic standpoint from A to B to C, A plus 1 plus 1 in this instance, the way they're doing it does not equal 2. It equals like 27.
And as long as you have a free society and a free thinking society, there are going to be people which we're
getting away from.
There are going to be people for medical reasons who can and can't do things. There's going to be people for personal reasons, religious reasons that can and can't do things. And I never worried about that before. I really, and I still don't.
Because you were living your life.
Right.
You went from living your life and doing what you do and knowing that you're doing right to now going, wait a minute, if I do this, what's everyone else going to think? In my mind, I mean, I don't want to say I don't give a shit, but in a lot of ways, I don't give a shit. If I'm doing what I know is right and what is good, right, for everybody, basically, I'm going to keep moving on. I mean, I'm going to ask for forgiveness if I did something wrong or said something wrong to you. I'm sorry. It's not intentional. I'm just doing, I was given, my rights. and I'm exercising my rights to do what I want to do as long as I'm.
But you have never at any point in your life tried to force your beliefs and your rights down my throat.
No, I just tell you them, and you say either, hey, I never saw it that way, or hey, Scott, you're crazy, right? And that's what it's all about. Because, I mean, there's plenty of times in my life where I've had a discussion with somebody, you know, when I felt very strongly about something, and they gave me their side of the story, and I'm going, oh, okay, wait a minute, I got to rethink. Need to rethink this, right? Yeah. And that's all I'm asking people to do is to, really take a look at what you're doing and rethink it. Like we're coming down to the eviction moratorium. If you really can't pay me, think about, if you can't pay because you lost your job or something else major happened in your life, okay, reverse the role. I mean, one of my renters, I looked at him, I said, you know what? I understand things happen. I said, but answer me this question. Switch roles with me. You're me. I'm you.
Yeah.
What would you say to me? How would you feel? What would you do if you knew that I had more than enough money to pay you, but I wasn't paying you because you knew I couldn't evict you?
Yeah.
You would be just livid, wouldn't you?
It would be
regardless if I could get money from the government or not. Yeah. You'd be livid, right? Because why should I have to go through that?
Hey, Gary, good morning.
It doesn't.
Good evening.
It doesn't make any sense, right? So I try to turn the paper on everybody else and say, what would you do in my shoes?
Here's what I know. In the United States of America, because of the country we are, because of the people we are, it doesn't matter what comes down the pipe. There's always going to be pushback from a group of people or from people. It's just the way society is, right? And, here's what I would say to Congress and to the lawmakers is if you don't intend on upholding a law, then don't make it. Right? Then don't make it.
Well, that's a pretty insightful thought there. I mean, you should run for
no
Congress.
No, and based on that amount of common sense,
in my closet.
We should actually just completely rework the law books because there are literally thousands of laws in place that are never enforced.
Right. But again, and Pete, you sent me something on TikTok. You follow the money, and in a democratic society, it should the line should go like this, but it doesn't.
No.
We, the constituents, have no say, no voice, no nothing. It's the companies and the money that create laws and do things that support their ideals.
This is the old thing they called the golden rule. The man with the gold makes the rules, right? Well, now the government is making a lot of crazy rules that no one's fighting against. No one's pushing back on it. It's like, okay, you're looking out for my best interest, but once again, the old magic trick. Look over here.
Yeah.
I'm doing this over
here.
Sleight of hand. Sleight of hand, right? Sleight of hand. And it's coming, man. People are going to be rudely awakened here soon. Yeah. And I feel sad for a lot of the people that don't even realize what's coming. And even a couple of my really close friends that say this stuff. And I'm like, dude, you're going to get it. You're going to see.
But here's what's also going to happen. Okay. Again, the paradigm shift. What once was wrong is now acceptable. Now Congress says, no, you can evict everybody. And the sitting president of the United States says, we're going to leave it up to the municipalities and the local governments. So now, much like this mandate, we are no longer in a pandemic, from my understanding. Is that a state of emergency?
No.
Yet our governors are starting to do things that they can't do, and people are accepting that as right.
Correct.
That's where we've come. That's what this whole show is about, that paradigm shift of, hey, Al, I'm the governor, so I'm going to say that you have to wear your underwear on the outside of your pants from here on in for public safety.
But it makes no sense, but everyone does it because he says it.
Right?
Yeah.
So now we allowed it in 2020 when we were in a state of emergency. Now, not so much.
No.
And we're still allowing it to happen.
You know why, right?
Why?
Fear.
It's a lot
false evidence appearing real. So how much false evidence are we getting from this whole thing? There's a lot of truth, but there's a lot of falsities that people are believing and they're expounding upon, and they're scared. So now people are running scared. If they say it, I got to do it.
Well, there's
no free thinking.
But with a new virus and science and things of that nature, that's how we learn, right? We have to go with what we know at the moment, continue to test, continue to do things. That's
Right.
how we found
It
out that the
evolves.
tests from 2020 couldn't differentiate between influenza and COVID-19. We've now then said, hey, we certainly can. Now we've got a new test. We don't use those old tests because now we can differentiate influenza from COVID-19, but we still don't have a test for the Delta variant. But we'll still say that you have.
Yeah, well, they're
Yeah, we got down that wormhole really quick.
We can go down that wormhole, but yes, you're correct. There is no test for the Delta variant because technically speaking, there is no way to actually identify that there is even a Delta variant.
Correct.
It's just people getting sick again. Right. So it's based on
with
time.
With the spike.
So now they're saying, oh, well, it must have
can't be
this.
That. It's now
it must be a new thing, kind of like they do. Right. They're thinking, oh, it probably acts like the flu. Anyway, arg.
Yeah. So I like what Shane says there. Yeah. Here's what I say. I prioritize public safety differently. I recognize the danger of fear-based decision making. I understand the historic value of learning from past mistakes. I believe life is more than survival. What do you believe? That's a good way to put it.
I agree. I agree with you 100%. And unfortunately, a lot of the people in the world are basically controlled through fear. Right? I mean, a lot of people don't do everything that they want to do in life because they're afraid of what could happen. Well, they know what's going to happen if they just continue to do what they're doing, and they're comfortable in their current situation. But you strike fear into them, they're gonna basically ball up. Okay, that's fine, I'll do it. Yeah. Because one, they're getting shamed into it these days too, especially because of social media.
Well, and the fear is now I can't have a conversation with Gary and share my opinion because he's going to chastise my opinion and say that my opinion is wrong. And now I'm afraid to share my thoughts with him because, well, whatever I share, we have a conversation, you're going to tell me that I'm wrong and an idiot for my opinion.
And that's
why Gary's here today. He hasn't said a word yet.
Singapore is in the house today.
Singapore is in the house. He hasn't said a word.
I'm trying to formulate the thought.
Exactly, because you should be able to say, give your opinion and give your thoughts, and not be judged for that. And
here's the real deal, folks. And I'm just going to lay it out there, and this is my opinion. I got off of social media except for things that I do for 216 The Net. Right. And if you don't get an alert that 216 The Net is on YouTube or Facebook, then you shouldn't be on it. My life is so wonderful. My wife's like, hey, you're not on Facebook anymore. Yep, no, could care less about somebody's cat that puked.
Right. Or telling somebody where they can get certain
my wife actually deleted her Facebook account. Like it's gone. Like she deleted all the pictures and everything, and then went in and delete my account.
You don't know how stress-free my life. I mean, I've got stress because of the job and the station and things like that. But
undue stress.
Yeah, but it's not the same as sitting there because you're addicted to it going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, look at, I got to comment on this. This guy's an idiot. And what I used to love to do is throw controversial shit out there just to get a rise out of people.
You're one of the assholes that I don't like then, huh?
It's fun to do.
Because there's so
just
many
to get a rise out of everybody.
Yeah, that was it.
Right. I do that on TikTok every now and then. It's just because it's just fun to watch
people explode.
Yeah,
well, people explode, and social media has allowed, and that's how they've actually turned. That is one of the biggest problems that we have with this whole pandemic. Right, is because everyone gets on there and starts sharing this stuff and scaring everybody and shaming everybody and everyone thinking that their life is not great. I mean, and I apologize, guys, because I guess I'm one of those people. I only post good shit on Facebook. Like when I don't post the bad of hey,
I don't even post.
Right, but if
I post on Instagram, which carries over to Facebook. Just my walks.
Here's a novel idea.
Oh yeah, I've noticed that from time.
Here's a novel idea for everybody. Instead of getting on Facebook and saying what you did and sending pictures to your friends, how about call them?
Yeah,
and say, hey, let's go out.
Let's have a conversation.
Let's come on over to the house and have a discussion and sit on my deck and have a cocktail or a water or a soda Let's just hang out and be people. Let's just not get online and send you pictures of all the greatest things in
Right.
your life. Talk about your troubles. Talk about your struggles.
I mean, here's
because you
the-
realize you don't even realize that person that you think has got life by the balls has got the same struggles you
And
do. They're just dealing with them differently.
I don't necessarily like flying. Right? I like driving. That's what
Yeah.
I do. But there's one day I'm going to fly over to Singapore because
You can fly over here anytime. Yeah.
from what Gary has shared with us, it seems like a really pretty cool little place.
Right? We'll be staying in Gary's basement.
Yeah.
No, you can always just go to YouTube and type search for videos of there's a lot of Americans that have visited Singapore, and they have reaction videos of when they were in Singapore. They went to eat, they went to visit. So you can search for all these videos of Americans who come to Singapore, and they make reaction videos of what they found here, what they see here, and it's like, yeah, I mean, majority generally end up saying that is they didn't expect that that the country was like this.
Yeah. It just seems like a cool little place, less than the size of New York City or about the size of New York City, right?
Yeah, but we're only about like what what was that? 200 over square miles, or was it 400 over? Well, not very big.
Right.
It's a little.
Literally from like here and back.
Yeah, I mean, that's McHenry County.
Right. Yeah, that's the size.
McHenry County actually might be physically bigger than 200 square miles, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
So,
correct. Yeah.
Shane asked Gary what vax choices.
Okay. So essentially, at the beginning when we started vaccination this year, the only choices, because we do not take recommendations from CDC. Our Ministry of Health does our own tests specifically for our Asian bodies and our Asian genetic structure. So the only two approved were Pfizer and Moderna, but there were others that were tested also that were still in the process of testing: Sinovac, Sinopharm, AstraZeneca, and so as of today, so just to let you know, we have reached 80% vaccination in Singapore as of today. And we are now moving on with endemic lifestyle. So right now we're having actually a situation right now where we have a shopping center cluster of about, I think, 120 people, but life still goes on, right? There's no curfew, there's no anything, you can still go out. So we are prepared for endemic lifestyle because of the high vaccination rate. So as of today, we will accept all vaccines that are approved that are under the WHO, the World Health Organization emergency use list. So that includes AstraZeneca. So these are vaccines that may not be approved by our Ministry of Health, but as long as they're on the WHO's emergency use list, we will accept it as a proof of vaccination. However, let's say if you were to take if someone in Singapore would take Sinovac, which is not a national approved vaccine, but it's approved by WHO, we are fine with that. But should anything arise from there, complication, anything, the government here will not be responsible for any consequences, because it is not a vaccine that was pushed or rather mandated by the government.
Let me ask you this, Gary. I mean, I don't know if you were in the entire podcast so far, but the main the thing we started out with today is the eviction moratorium. Do you guys have anything like that in?
It is illegal here in Singapore, so it's as simple as that.
What's illegal in Singapore?
You cannot evict people in Singapore on that basis. It's with the pandemic thing. So this was a law that was slapped on last year. So we do have so you cannot evict anyone on the basis of pandemical reasons. Okay. And then the other thing is we have rental subsidies from the government to the landlord, and even till today, the government is targeting different business groups with different forms of subsidy. So I'll give you an example which not many people really think about. I'm sure in the US there is a movement for that, but so the arts and culture scene actually has been badly affected worldwide for those that are in the arts and culture scene, because they are deemed to be non-essential, right? The theaters, the playwrights, the musicians. So till today, our government has been having targeted subsidies to help the arts and people in the arts and culture, right? So they understand that the situation is not good because you can't do performances and so we have different targeted financial assistance for different targeted industries depending on what they are. The three industries here in Singapore that receive the majority of the help because they are very essential to our very survival as a country because of the way we obtain our revenue from them is actually aviation, tourism, and what we call MROs, maintenance, repair, and overhaul facilities for the aviation industry. Because aviation accounts for a very large proportion of our country because our airport, Changi International Airport, is like the best international airport for 9 years in a row, as voted by Skytrax. So it is essential, but we understand that tourism has taken a very big hit to us. So the government has poured basically over the last 1.5 years, literally a couple of $100 million into ensuring that this industry survives. So, wages are paid, or we call it salaries here, sorry. Salaries are paid. Companies have subsidies to make a paradigm shift, to borrow your phrase, to make a paradigm shift to maybe change to another form of business for temporarily before, the situation restores back to normal. So, we are actually pretty glad that we understand like what we see happen in the US. So we're pretty happy with what we have here for the time being. We know it's difficult on everybody, right? Financially, jobs are lost. So we will also suffer the same thing. But we just try to get through it because every country is facing the same problem. Yeah. Obviously, the US is having it on a scale factor of maybe 100 compared to us.
Yeah. The thing that we've talked about a little bit over here is, in Kent is in banking. So, I mean, one of the things that I feel is, I'm not a conspiracy theorist per se, but I mean, when things add up and point in that direction, I have to really start thinking about it. Forbearance is where you're in mortgage and they're basically waiting, right? Kent, make sure I'm right. Forbearance is basically where you haven't been paying your rent, but they're giving you adequate time to kind of make good with that. But after a certain amount of time, that goes away and they will start the foreclosure process on you, correct?
Well, yeah, forbearance here in the United States will allow you to just make an interest payment or payment or no payment for a certain number of months, call it 3. But at the end of that 3 months, you owe us those 3 months payments. It's like a balloon payment.
It's like a balloon.
It's kind of like buying you time to get your act together.
So it's not a deferment.
Right. See, deferment, I'd be okay with deferment because they put it on the back end of your loan, your mortgage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think one thing I need to let perhaps everybody understand is that here in Singapore, 85% of Singaporeans, we do own homes, but houses, but they are public housing. So 85% of Singaporeans live in public housing. What if you have seen photos of Singapore public housing, you might start to think that is maybe something like what I think in the US in the 70s they'll call the projects. But this is actually a very world apart. For Americans that have come here and visited our housing precincts, and they realize that it looks like projects, but it's in nowhere near that sort of even remotely near that. So because of that, public housing is built by the government, and therefore public housing, this is a law that was from when we were independent, public housing can never be mortgaged or seized by any financial institutions here operating in Singapore. All right, it's hands off. So even if you owe the banks money, they can foreclose on your business.
We don't have that here in the States.
Yeah, they can foreclose on your assets in your house, but they can never foreclose that public housing. So they can come in and take away your TVs, your furniture, fine. But that public housing is 100% off the table. Right? There's no way anybody can. So, and that is a guarantee that you will still have a roof over your head, even if you don't have a chair inside your house.
Yeah. So part of me thinks that the way that this thing is going is, landlords are going to start going into foreclosure and stuff too. and then it's going to be bought up by the big companies and corporations, and basically kind of monopolizing, who owns all the property. I mean, you know who the biggest landowner is in America?
McDonald's.
No, Bill Gates.
McDonald's.
Bill Gates owns the most land in the United States. I think that it's going to come to that point to where they're going to own.
It would be
all the big businesses and government.
I'd have to see that because McDonald's is a real estate company.
Well, they're a real estate.
Yes, McDonald's is a real estate company, correct?
So, probably worldwide. They
No,
probably
but
own
Bill Gates, check it out. Bill Gates owns the most property in the United States.
Yeah,
and he keeps.
But I'm sure the property. I think Scott, you're talking about in terms of land area, the amount of property he owns in terms of square area in the U.S.
Yeah, square miles probably.
Okay.
So anyway, as we talk about the paradigm shift, right? And this is what needs to be concerning to everybody is what once was right is now wrong.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And what is wrong is now acceptable.
And people are accepting.
At some point, you're going to have to go, wait just a second, right? So with everybody, so there are some people in the world and in the United States, and that's where we find the division, who have said, wait a minute, that's my breaking point. And there's some who are like, well, no, my breaking point's going to be down the road when perhaps they come in and take this freedom or take my house or do, you know what I'm saying? So there's
right. What's your breaking
there,
point?
Right?
What's your breaking point?
So I would not wish to be in government right now. I would not wish to be a governor. I would wish to be in any type of political situation because it doesn't matter. You could be right down the middle and you're just not going to make everybody happy. I had a conversation with the CEO of my company, not the station, but the one that I work for. And I told him, I said, I really don't envy you because it doesn't matter what you do. Half of your employees are going to hate you and half of your employees will think that you're sitting on a gold throne. Thank you so much. And as things change and develop and things we know, he's got to move and be that way too. And it's very, very difficult. But again, the paradigm shift. What's your breaking point? What is it that said when you finally say, hold on, enough is enough, and start throwing tea into this ocean, right?
Essentially, your paradigm shift is just a newer way of saying who moved my cheese and why the hell do you do that?
That's correct. That's correct. So the whole thing is, hey, guess what? We've got cars that drive themselves now, right? I mean, when we were, right, Gary, we're all about the same age here.
Yep.
So we did time capsules that were going to be opened in the year 2000, and what in the 70s we thought the year 2000 was going to be like the Jetsons.
Yeah,
flying cars.
Close.
Yeah.
Right, but now we've
we
got
all have a
cars that
Rosie
drive
the robot.
themselves.
Right. Here's something that kind of throws everything off. But if anyone out there has never watched the movie WALL-E,
Yeah,
it's a
It's
a cartoon. That's the way the world's going.
Yeah.
Everyone's already staring at their phones. Everyone's already
there's
getting
a lot of
fat
truth
because
there,
they're not
right?
exercising.
The true thing is that I say is, what is your right and wrong, and when is it not okay for somebody, the government, your neighbor, to step over that right or wrong?
Well, right now, because we're in a pandemic, it's okay
we're
for
not.
them to screw it. Right, but that's what everyone still thinks, and that's
Right.
we'll let them do it
Pfizer-
because they know what's right.
Pfizer has now been approved by the FDA. It is no longer an emergency use. We're not going there, Pete. We're not going there. I'm just saying, the FDA approved it and is no longer in an emergency use.
Okay. I will. Let's say one thing correctly. I won't go any further.
Oh, he pulled that up quick.
It is approved. The Pfizer BioNTech COVID-19 marketed. It must be marketed and presented as a Comirnaty. Now I'll shut up there and let everybody else go look up what a Comirnaty is, and I'll leave that alone now. There you go.
Now throw that in there with 2 minutes
That
left.
tells us that we're no longer in an emergency state.
As
right.
far as what they consider with
But I think that only applies to the U.S.
We're in an emergency state financially. It's not even about the virus anymore.
No,
It's about financials and the freaking It's all. What was it? What the hell was
Yeah,
that?
right,
Wag
Don,
the dog.
exactly, right.
What was
I
the movie?
love
It was Wag the Dog, right?
Yeah.
Was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the dog.
You
Yeah.
see that
Right.
movie?
Mhm.
That's what's going on.
Well, sure, but that's what I'm saying is everybody comes to, and we're here on the last minute of this thing, but everything you have to understand the paradigm shift. You have to just say yes, that is correct.
It is
What was
happening.
once right is now wrong,
Right.
and what is once wrong is now acceptable,
Right.
and that's not good, people.
No, it's not.
It's
good.
just not good.
It's not good.
That's all.
It's sad, actually. You know. So do what Kent said. Get off of Facebook, social media. Facebook's going to hate us.
Just
Probably
love
kick
people.
us off now. Just be you.
That's
Do
it.
you. Love your family. Love your friends. You know. And we say it every week. Just you can't say be normal. Just be you.
Be
Love everybody. Realize that everybody's just like you, even though they might not seem
Respect
like
them.
it. Respect them. You know, let them have their views and do what's best for the greater good.
That's it.
If we all did that, life would be great.
And we can give you.
Good news.
There it is.
Because you know why? We're tired of that same old shit. I'm tired of the same
Rob
old
is here,
shit.
216 Net. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning. We're blessed and humbled you got caught in the net. Come back at 9. Bridging Civil Tension with Bill Wallace.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week. Or actually, weekend. Hope you had a great week. We'll see you next week. And join us. Tell everyone about it. 216 Net.
Hey man, just switch it off. Don't eat it from the
Thanks,
top.
Don. Have a good week.
Sure, you can
Have a good
stuff
weekend,
your
Sam.
face.
Have a good weekend, everybody.